Hello, everybody. Today we are beginning our religion unit, and so we are going to start with Western religions. We'll also be covering Eastern religions later, but today we will start with Western. And so, if it'll pull up, here we go. We're starting with Judaism. We'll get into it a little bit more. Just so you know, we will be covering, the main world religions, and so we'll be talking about all of them. It's in no way insinuating any are better or worse than the others. We're just talking about the history of religion, how it has come to be over the years. And so the first one we're going to talk about is Judaism. So this is just a little intro to religion slide, and if you are in class, hopefully you are, we're going to watch this video, and we may play some of it. I may come back and play some of it at the end of this video as well. So, over the course of this unit, we'll be looking at several religions. Like I said, we are looking at these in order to understand how different groups of people view the world and how that has influenced world history. We will be comparing and contrasting these different religions in order to gain a better understanding of how these religions influence world history. So, getting in more specifically to Judaism, the Holy Book of Judaism is known as the Tanakh. The Tanakh. That is the Holy Book of Judaism. This book is made of a few different authors and genres, and the Torah, which is, more commonly known, the Torah or the Pentateuch is the first 5 books written by Moses. And so, if you aren't super familiar, there's going to be a lot of similarities between some of the religions. And Judaism and Christianity have a lot of similarities. The other religions have a lot of similarities. So, the first 5 books are written by Moses, and they're called the Torah. It also includes books of history, poetry, and prophecy. The Tanakh is written in Hebrew. It is written in Hebrew. Leaders of Judaism. So these are some important, characters that you would know in Judaism. So I believe it's Yahweh or Adonai is the covenant name for God in Judaism. Abraham or Abram is the father or founder of Judaism. He's also the founder or father of monotheism, because this is one of the earliest forms of monotheism. If polytheism is the study of many is not the study of many religions, sorry. Polytheism is the belief in many gods. Monotheism is the belief in one God. And so Abraham is the father or founder of Judaism. The patriarchs or the fathers include Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Moses brought Israel out of Egypt and was given the 10 Commandments. Moses brought Israel out of Egypt and was given the 10 Commandments. King David is the second king of Israel and unites the tribes of Israel. And Solomon, or the son of David, Solomon's the son of David, king of Israel, and becomes renowned in ancient Near East. And so these are important leaders of Judaism, some of the, individuals who really helped Judaism flourish in its beginnings. So the history of Judaism. The Fertile Crescent isn't just home to some of the world's earliest civilizations. It also includes the world's first monotheistic religion and one of the most influential worldviews today. Like I said, monotheism is the belief in one God. So Judaism began around 2000 BC in the region of Mesopotamia. And so we've talked about Mesopotamia already. We talked about Mesopotamia in our ancient river civilizations. And so these ancient river civilizations are where we're also going to see religions form. And so God called a man named Abram, who was from Ur, and changed his name to Abraham and told him he would be the father of many nations, and made a covenant or a promise. A covenant is a promise with him that God would bless the world through him. So God calls on Abraham, and he makes this promise with him that God would bless the world through him. And this would be the beginning of the Hebrew people. So this is the beginning of the Hebrew people who would see themselves as set apart by God. Part of God's covenant with Abraham, so part of God's promise with Abraham, would be based on a couple of things. One is that God would have a special relationship with Abraham and his descendants, so his offspring, all of the people who come from him. So he would have a relationship with him and his descendants. God would give the offspring of Abraham a place they would come to know as the Promised Land. And that would be Canaan. And so Canaan, or the Promised Land, was the second part of the covenant. So Judaism claims that God made this promise come reality through Moses. So it claims that God made this become an actual, thing through Moses. Israel had been enslaved in Egypt after a famine caused them to look for food and work there. So Israel had been enslaved in Egypt after a famine caused them to look for food and work there. The Hebrews believe that God used Moses to help Israel escape Egypt with the help of a few plagues, and God renewed his covenant with Israel through Moses in the Exodus. So if you know anything about the story of Moses, Moses did help lead Israel out of Egypt with the help of God and the help of the plagues. And so they leave Egypt after being enslaved. And so that is how God's promise came through Moses. After Moses, the Israelites conquered Canaan. Like we said, Canaan was their promised land, so they conquered Canaan, and eventually the 12 tribes united under a king named David, Israel's second king. And this was around 1000 BC. David's son Solomon would take over after David's death, and he would expand the kingdom, build an impressive capital city, and gain fame as a wise man. The kingdom would eventually split and be conquered by empires such as the Assyrians, Babylonians, the Persians, and the Romans. Prophets would intermittently come and seek to draw the Israelites back to God, but eventually the Jews would be driven into something known as diaspora, or the dispersion. The Jewish faith would not die out, and eventually 2 other world religions will find their roots in Judaism. So like I said, obviously a lot of people know, and you can see the similarities from Christianity, but there are also similarities from Islam, because Islam's roots are also in Judaism. And so Judaism continues to be the religion of many around the world today. Judaism, Christianity, and Islam are your three main Western religions that we're going to cover, and that's because they do have so many similarities. They're all kind of rooted in this Judaism. So, holidays that you would celebrate if you were part of Judaism. Hanukkah, I think a lot of people have at least heard of Hanukkah. It's a Jewish festival commemorating the rededication of the Second Temple in Jerusalem at the time of the, I think it's Maccabean revolt against the Seleucid Empire. It is also known as the Festival of Lights. And so Hanukkah is usually celebrated around the same time as Christmas. And so that is one of the many holidays that is about to occur. You also have the Passover, which is celebrated to remember what God did to deliver the Israelites from the Egyptians. So what God did to free the Israelites from the Egyptians. You have Rosh Hashanah, which is the Jewish New Year, observed by gathering at a synagogue, prayer, fasting, and reflection. A synagogue is a Jewish place of worship. And Yom Kippur is a Jewish day of atonement. It's a serious day. It's a serious holy day full of fasting. They don't work. There's prayer and reflection in order to prepare and consecrate oneself to God. So the major beliefs of Judaism are that they are monotheistic, which is believing in one God. They are monotheistic. They believe in one God. They believe that God has established a covenant through Abraham. And remember, a covenant is a promise. So they made a promise, or God made a promise with Abraham. Signs of the covenant included circumcision and the 10 Commandments. Like we talked about earlier, you get the 10 Commandments through Moses. So Moses helped deliver the Israelites from Egypt, and he also was given the 10 Commandments from God. And the Torah tells of God's covenant, character, and expectations of those who practice Judaism. And so that is our PowerPoint that we have over Judaism. We have some other activities that we can do as well. And so make sure you're checking into class and make sure you're watching each day's videos. And if you have any questions, feel free to message me on Canvas or message your teacher on Canvas. And that should be it for this one.